Hello students, welcome to the lecture on reports. And after the lecture, we will be able to learn the following objectives. Define writing an effective report, discuss the composing business messages, define style and tone, discuss the types of reports, define numbering and use of visual aids, explain the creativity in writing communication, describe diagrams in written communication. Let's begin with an introduction to reports. A document containing information organized in a narrative, graphic or tabular form, prepared on ad hoc, periodic, recurring, regular or as required basis. Reports may refer to specific periods, events, occurrences or subjects and may be communicated or presented in oral or written form. A report definition identifies data to collect and how often, when to generate the report, how the report is to be named and saved, and whether to view it now or later. A document that presents information in an organized format for a specific audience and purpose. Types of reports include memos, minutes, lab reports, book reports, progress reports, justification reports, compliance reports, annual reports and policies and procedures. The word report has originated from the French words reporter and report and Latin re, back plus port r, to carry. All these words mean given in account. Report thus means to give people information about something that have heard, seen, done, etc. Report writing is an essential skill for professionals in almost every field. Accountants, teachers, graphic designers, information scientists, the list goes on. Complete and compact document. Report is a complete and compact written document giving updated information about a specific problem. Presentation of facts. Report is the systematic presentation of facts, figures, conclusions and recommendations. Report writers closely study the problem under investigation and prepare a report after analyzing all relevant information regarding the problem. Report is supported by facts and evidence. There is no scope for imagination in a report, which is basically a factual document prepared in writing. Reports are usually in writing. Writing reports are useful for reference purpose. It serves as complete, compact and self-explanatory document over a long period. Oral reporting is possible in the case of secret and confidential matters. Provides information and guidance. Report is a valuable document which gives information and guidance to the management while framing future policies. It facilitates planning and decision making. Reports are also useful for solving problems faced by a business enterprise. Self-explanatory document. Report is a comprehensive document and covers all aspects of the subject matter of study. It is a self-explanatory and complete document by itself. Acts as a tool of internal communication. Report is an effective tool of communication between top executives and subordinate staff working in an organization. It provides feedback to employees and to executives for decision making. Reports are generally submitted to higher authorities. It is an example of upward communication. Acts as permanent record. A report serves as a permanent record relating to certain business matter. It is useful for future reference and guidance. Time-consuming and costly activity. Report writing is a time-consuming, lengthy and costly activity as it involves collection of facts, drawing conclusion and making recommendations. Moving on, let's discuss how to write an effective report. A report can be defined as a testimonial or account of some happening. It is purely based on observation and analysis. A report gives an explanation of any circumstance. In today's corporate world, reports play a crucial role. They are a strong base for planning and control in an organization. That is, reports give information which can be utilized by the management team in an organization for making plans and for solving complex issues in the organization. A report discusses a particular problem in detail. It brings significant and reliable information to the limelight of top management in an organization. An effective report can be written going through the following steps. Determine the objective of the report, that is, identify the problem. Collect the required material, facts for the report. Study and examine the facts gathered. Plan the facts for the report. Prepare an outline for the report, that is, draft the report. Edit the drafted report. Distribute the draft report to the advisory team and ask for feedback and recommendations. The essentials of good, effective report writing are: know your objective, that is, be focused. Analyze the niche audience, that is, make an analysis of the target audience, the purpose for which audience requires the report, kind of data audience is looking for in the report, the implications of report reading, etc. Decide the length of the report. Disclose correct and true information in a report. Discuss all sides of the problem reasonably and impartially. Include all relevant facts in a report. Concentrate on the report structure and matter. Pre-decide the report writing style. Use vivid structure of sentences. Stages of writing. The writing process involves 6 basic stages, which are not separate as they often flow into one another in our experience. Or depending on how you write, you might engage in certain stages simultaneously. Pre-writing. It is like hatching an egg from conception, incubation to hatching the plot. Writing. The actual work that requires creativity and discipline. Putting pen to paper or fingertips to keyboard. Revising. This is the craftsmanship side of writing. You're not just completing something according to basic standards, but to your own satisfaction. Writing is, after all, an art. It is the same care you would put into creating a model ship or plane. Editing. Putting the last touches on your work to make sure it forms well, like adding any missing pieces or removing parts that do not fit. Publishing. This is the part that many writers dislike because it is the business side of things. You take it all in stride from the first rejection letter to the 100th. We decided to go with the publisher. We knew instead of going through this process of waiting and hoping. When you do get a yes, then you can congratulate yourself for your persistence and do a little dance in celebration. Promotion. Your publisher depends on size and budget, will often handle many aspects of promotion, such as shelf space in bookstores, distributors, media kit, and many other important details. Still, as an author, you need to be available for book launches, book signings, and other public and media appearances. This allows interacting with audience and receiving valuable feedback from them. Let's now discuss about composing business messages. A written business message is one of the methods of business communication. And like every other managerial activity, written communication has its own policy. The policy of communication arises from the culture of the organization, values, habits, interest networks, and relationships. The formation of an effective and successful written message includes planning, formulating, improving, and editing the message. However, the goal is always one. The writer wishes to attract the reader to read and accept the message. It is therefore important to compose a well-structured and particularly a clear composed written message. Formulating a well-structured message depends on its contents, the right thoughts, reasons, information, and proposals. The content of a business message is of utmost importance, while the manner in which it is expressed comes second. Therefore, clarity and intelligence before all. Of course, a good structure and the manner of delivery make the message more effective. The formulation of a written message consists of 2 steps. The components can be classified into 3 groups. The basic thought represents a core around which the writer formulates a message. The basic thought is supported by arguments, a minimum of 3 or maximum of 5, as otherwise these cannot be processed simultaneously by an average reader. Each argument is supported by concrete and convincing evidence. These can include simple information, comparisons, concise descriptions, statements and quotes of influential persons, and of course, graphical presentations. Style and tone. What is style and tone in written communication? The writer uses a certain style and tone to craft the story. Style refers to the writer's choice of diction, sentence structure, literary techniques, and use of rhythm. For example, Hemingway wrote very short sentences and he used simple words. George Orwell, on the other hand, used long sentences, including periodic and cumulative sentence types and more complex diction. Cormac McCarthy in The Road used many sentence fragments and everyday language. He also referred to the main characters as the boy and the man. They were never addressed by name. In fiction writing, the writer's style is also created by the choice of literary devices that are used to create the story, such as imagery, symbolism, allegory, personification, and other figurative language. Tone, on the other hand, refers to the writer's attitude toward his/her story to the reader. The writer's tone assists in creating a mood or atmosphere for the story. This discusses the following: style, tone, narrative voice, the writer's voice, style. Every fiction writer has a unique style. The writer's style is based on many choices about diction, syntax, sentence structure, detail, dialogue, literary devices, and rhythm. The writer's style comes from the diction or word choice he/she uses. Does the writer use simple language or complex language? Is the language concrete or abstract? What does a word connote? What does a word connote? What does the word denote? The writer's style comes from the types of sentence, structure, syntax he/she use. Does the writer use short or long sentences, sentence fragments, periodic or cumulative sentences, simple or complex sentences? For instance, Cormac McCarthy in The Road uses many sentence fragments to tell his story. Tone. What is tone? It refers to the fiction writer's attitude towards his/her subject and toward the readers. The writer's tone creates an atmosphere or mood for the story. A writer's tone can be humorous, satirical, passionate, zealous, sarcastic, condensing, and so on. The tone can be anything the writer chooses. The narrative voice. What is the narrative voice? It is the quality of the narrative, whether the story is told in the first person or the third person. It is how the writer chooses to tell the story casually, seriously, humorously, and so forth. The narrative voice will belong to a character within the story, such as the protagonist, or when the story is told in the third person, the narrative voice will belong to an unknown character, someone who is not a participant in the story. Before writing the story, the fiction writer needs to decide what narrative voice to use: serious, comic, detached, or entertaining. Once the narrative voice is selected, the writer can determine what sort of diction and sentence structure to use. The writer's voice. The narrative voice is an extension of the writer's voice. The writer's voice consists of many elements including style and tone, but the writer's is created by many other factors such as socio-economic background, education, belief system, values, writing experience, and so forth. Frequently, a writer's voice is expressed through the following elements: diction, the word choice of the writer; syntax, the sentence patterns chosen by the writers; subject matter, what the writer chooses to write about his/her views on that subject matter; tone, the attitude that the writer intends to convey about the subject to the reader. Types of reports. There are many types of reports are derived in many ways. Here we discuss about business and academic report. Business report. A business report is a standard form of business communication that combines qualitative and quantitative information in a logical format, serving as critical corporate documentation. Business reports present information-based views on the enterprise to appropriate audiences and can be automatically individualized for each user. Business reports access business performance, provide a quick status check, and monitor progress towards the strategic goals of the business. Summarize key business indicators by presenting them in visually intuitive charts and graphs, easy to read grids, and spreadsheets, pixel-perfect documents, and interactive dashboards and scorecards. Use statistics, such as key performance indicators and financial ratios, to present key business metrics. Access data online or offline through various means of communication by web, email, mobile device, desktop application, Microsoft Office application, Excel, Word, PowerPoint, file server or printer. Purpose of business reports. A business report conveys information to assist in business decision making. The business report is the medium in which to present this information. Some reports might present the actual solution to solve a business problem. Other reports might record past business information that is used toward future business planning. More traditional reports, such as business plans, serve to communicate the business concept, business management, model, commercial objectives, operational procedures, and the perceived viability of the enterprise.
I want to show you one letter written in different historical alphabets. Let's take the letter A. Here it is as the Romans would write it. Perhaps a serif there. Here it is as the Irish might write it in the Untitled alphabet, it's called. Here's what later Italy did with the A. Here's the lowercase a. I'll draw that for you uppercase. This is the foundational version, which is English. Very staid and conservative. I'm not being especially chronological here. This is the Carolingian version, which goes back to the time of Charlemagne. And each one of these has a different flavor. I once wrote the word Tuesday about 4 different times in different alphabets, and each one depicted a different kind of Tuesday. So calligraphy takes respect for the tools and the ink. It really takes patience, develops patience. I once lettered a piece that was an actual quote from 1416. It was the head monk in a scriptorium. His name was Johannes Trithemius. And he says, "You lazy, negligent fools." He apparently was talking to the monks under him. "Do you think God can be pleased with the sacrifice of fools? Pay attention to what you're writing." And so I found calligraphy, I really took to it. I found it to be a very satisfying discipline, and it's allowed me to express a lot of things. It does take a lot of patience, but it's worth it.
Numbering and use of visual aids. Visual aids can powerfully help the effectiveness of a speech. Many speeches benefit from having objects, images, key quotes, or data presented in a clear and dramatic fashion. Visual aids vary in kind, but there are similar benefits and tips for dealing with any kind of supplementary evidence that is shown to an audience. Improves audience understanding and memory, serves as notes, provides clearer organization, facilitates more eye contact and motion by the speaker, contributes to speaker credibility. Tips for using visual aids. Stand to the side of the visual aid. Do not obscure the visual aid if at all possible. Traditionally, speakers have the visual aid on their left. Maintain eye contact. While the visual aid will be tempting to many speakers, the audience should still be their main focus. When a speaker loses eye contact, they often end up turning their back to the audience. Introduce a visual aid before talking about the information contained in it. Giving background on where the information for the visual aid was obtained from provides the audience with more resources for understanding the content of the speech. Practice with the visual aid. The visual aids adds an additional focus for the audience, and the speaker should be able to effectively and smoothly interact with the aid to minimize distractions. Make sure the visual aid supports the message. Consistency between what is being said and what is being seen is crucial to a speaker's credibility. Creativity in written communication. Creative writing is anything where the purpose is to express thoughts, feelings, emotions, rather than to simply convey information. Here are a couple of definitions. Creative writing is writing that expresses the writer's thoughts and feelings in an imaginative, often unique and poetic way. Writing is a form of personal freedom. It frees us from the mass identity we see all around us. Writing of any sort is hard, but rewarding work will gain a huge amount of satisfaction from a finished piece. Being creative can also be difficult and challenging at times, but immensely fun. Use of pictures every day. Advertisers, public speakers, and news broadcasters rely on images to communicate more than words alone can. When used properly, these images can accentuate and enhance a message. When poorly chosen images can detract from a message and distract an audience. Demonstrative images. On occasion, the content of a message can only go so far in explaining the ideas being presented. In these instances, images can benefit communication by giving a visual demonstration of ideas being discussed. Illustrative images. Sometimes the best way to understand an idea is to compare it to something else. Verbally, these comparisons are referred to as similes. In the context of images, this is considered illustrating a concept. Diagrams in written communication. Illustrations are a valuable tool in simplifying and conveying complex information in technical documents. A variety of options are available, including schematics, charts, assembly instructions, and flow charts. However, there are a few tips you should follow to make sure our illustrations are as effective as possible. Audience. It is crucial to know your intended audience when selecting illustrations. Blueprints, electrical diagrams, and other schematics are typically only useful to engineers or others working in a technical field. Charts. Charts, bar charts, or pie charts are an ideal method for helping people understand numbers and how they relate to one another. Make sure you clearly label all portions of the chart and use color to help separate and identify important information. Callouts. Callouts are text labels with a line pointing to a specific portion of an illustration. Callouts are useful for illustrations that show multiple parts, such as assembly diagrams, illustration size. Use illustrations that clearly focus on subject matter. Do not include illustrations that provide irrelevant information. Use an image editing program to crop out any unnecessary information if the desired illustration does not already exist. Flowcharts. Flowcharts can help simplify complex procedures and show how each step relates to others. The result is an easy-to-understand visual procedure. Microsoft's Visio program helps users create flowcharts and similar business diagrams. Now in the end, let us summarize what we have learned in this lecture. A report can be defined as a testimonial or account of some happening. It is purely based on observation and analysis. A written business message is one of the methods of business communication. And like every other managerial activity, written communication has its own policy. The writer uses a certain style and tone to craft the story. Style refers to the writer's choice of diction, sentence, structure, literary techniques, and use of rhythm. The writer's tone creates an atmosphere or mood for the story. A writer's tone can be humorous, satirical, passionate, zealous, sarcastic, condensing, and so on. A business report is a standard form of business communication that combines qualitative and quantitative information in a logical format, serving as critical corporate documentation. The research issues that are most decisive in this area include customer activity and behavior. A report could be presented as a memo report, a standardized form report, or a formal report. Report writing is the result of researches, analysis, and investigations which present in a written form. Many speeches benefit from having objects, images, key quotes, or data presented in a clear and dramatic fashion.